Okay, welcome to 1000 Ways, the show where we try and find the 1000 ways that Rumi spoke of 800 years ago when he said there are 1000 ways to kiss the earth. My guest today is Rosie Degou. Rosie, welcome to 1000 Ways.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Rosie, when we met with the Chamber, right? We were volunteering on the Chamber, the Philanthropy Committee, I believe it was, right? So we met there, and then we met through Lethbridge Family Services.
That's correct, yeah.
And those are kind of the areas where kind of we know each other from,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
I never even realized, I don't know why, that you have kids. It never clicked for me, and then we're walking up the stairs, and you mentioned about your youngest, 16, and just coming back from PEI.
She was, yeah. She spent the last school year in PEI to play for the provincial soccer team.
Oh, cool.
And COVID hit, so she got a few months in before she wasn't able to play. And my oldest is 20, and she goes to U of L, so she's entering her third year she wants to be a French immersion teacher.
A French immersion teacher, okay.
Yeah.
And your 16-year-old would be in high school still,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And then is she going to go to university as well, your 16-year-old?
She is. She's not quite sure. She knows it will probably do something to do with sports, so kinesiology is kind of what she's looking at.
Because she's an athlete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Did she get that from her mom?
Probably, yeah.
Were you an athlete?
I was.
I know you might, but do you do sports as well?
I did growing up, so I was in lots of different sports. I was in basketball, volleyball, track and field, boxing. So I was in a little bit of everything.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're like an all-around athlete.
That's
kind
right.
of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. By the way, when I sent you, when I asked what photo to use and that stuff, I asked you what songs. Do you know why I was asking what songs?
No.
Okay. At the end of the show, I sing a song. Okay. So I thought, all right, if I ask, I didn't think of this before.
Yeah.
Actually, my last guest was Mel Meyer.
Okay.
And Mel, when I'm telling her that I'm going to sing a song, she says, well, do you know any Loverboy? I said, no. And then she asked me a few other ones, and I didn't know any of them, right?
Yeah.
So I felt bad, so I recorded it afterwards for her.
Oh, no
so
way.
the next day I did it and then said, Mel, here's the song, the Loverboy song I owed you. But anyways, I thought, well, instead, I'm going to ask up front what kind of songs you like.
Yeah.
Not that I know every song, but I thought, well, just see. And I don't know any of the folks you said.
Oh, get out.
But I do know that Creed recorded a song by J. Frank Wilson.
Okay.
J. Frank Wilson, called Last Kiss.
Yeah.
Creed did that song. But I'm going to do it like the original.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, you hold that. you don't know if it's amazing. We'll see. But
I've heard you sing, so you're pretty good.
Oh, all right.
So,
Okay, cool. So anyways, that's why I was asking that. So
Yeah.
the song that I'm going to sing is that song, Last Kiss, but kind of more in the original style.
Oh, that's odd. You know what? That's one of my favorite songs.
Is
by
it?
Pearl Jam. Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song,
It
right?
is,
How, they find love and lose love at the same instant.
Exactly,
It's pretty
yeah.
cool. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, I got us off track there.
Sure.
Okay, so you are a very, besides being quite an athlete, multi-sport, so, and then just basically being a mom kind of slowed up the whole sport type thing, I imagine.
Yeah. My youngest, she has been playing soccer since she was 12. And so, like, pretty much every summer she plays indoor and outdoor, so it's a full year-round sport. And so just being mom, like soccer mom, playing on the sidelines and just watching her. And then with COVID happening, all of a sudden I just had extra time. And with her in PEI, that I just went, I need to do something for my mental health, something for just to kind of get out and away from work and life and everything else.
Right.
And that's when I started hiking again.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like, it's something I enjoy, something I look forward to every week. And definitely.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. And your work, I mean, at Lethbridge Family Services, you help people who are in really tough spots, right?
Yeah.
Like, really challenging times in their lives, and that's got a drain on you, right? That's that is being exposed to those situations all the time. Even though you're not there, you're doing better than they are, but still, like, you feel for the challenges that they're having, right? So,
for sure. We definitely have some frontline workers who have worked through the whole pandemic and being in clients' homes and working with them directly, but it's hard. It's everything that's happening. But
and good for you for picking up hiking to restore, like to build your mental health, right? That's awesome, right? And it's something you loved, but you kind of stopped doing it for a while. And now you kind of restarted again during COVID kind of thing. Isn't that cool? Any other changes that during COVID that are more positive now in your life?
I think self-care has always been important to me, but I think I'm probably putting more of a focus on it. So before I would actually try and make time, and sometimes I'd go months and go, oh wait, Rosie, you got to do a little bit of self-care here. So let's do something for you. But now it's just like, no, every Saturday I go with my friends and we go hiking. Like it's planned, it's scheduled, and I know that it's something that I look forward to in my week too. So it's just like,
that's great.
I'm out there.
But one thing that's to me, where with COVID, so it's a terrible situation for some people, right? Death for some people, and then other people, it's a time when really they're kind of getting a better rhythm with things, right? That life is a little bit better. You've restored something that's important for your mental health that you weren't doing before, right? That's great. And it's just like, when you have more time, you start to think more about that. Well, what would this day be like if it was a perfect day? How would this day be structured, right? So.
And I think it started out with myself and a friend of mine. We started doing the coolies in June, and then we had a third person who joined our little group, and then now there's 5 of us. And not everyone could go every weekend, but we do make an effort of saying, okay, we're going to pick this trail. And we started out with like a 2.5, 3K hike. It was very short, very quick, and we were dying. And we started doing the stairs on Whoop Up Drive that you see going up the hill. And so last weekend we did a 10K hike. We did
Look at you, 10K. Ooh.
It was amazing. It was the North Drywood Falls, just past Pincher Creek. And so it was a 10K, 5 in and 5 out, and there's waterfalls at the end. So it was kind of nice to see your progress too over the summer. And you're going,
and did all 5 of you go on that one?
No, 3 of us were able to go. But
that's great. You have this little peer support group kind of thing happening. That's awesome.
So no, it was amazing. It was just kind of like, we did this. Like
nice. Yeah, that's great. So again, a change that you made. I did a similar sort of a thing. I started singing more as of late, and for me, that's a real mental health enhancer and stress reducer and that kind of a thing, right? And it kind of where I had some time to during COVID type things to. Oh yeah, why don't I do more of that? And then you just kind of start that habit and say, yeah, this works good. Okay, that's a keeper, right?
You realize that it's been so long. Right? You can't think of the last time you did it. And you go, oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So that's good news. Yeah, that's good news. Excellent. And I don't know if you saw it before, but John from Lethbridge Family Services, John Thompson, was on here before, and we were talking about self-care and those things as well, right? So,
he's amazing.
Yeah. And self-care, like for the professional folks, huge thing. They really got to look after themselves, but it's good for all of us, right? If we learn the tools that we know that are going to, restore our mental health and give us resilience and give us the ability to enjoy this day as best as we can, right?
That's awesome. And you're not able to help other people around you if you're not taking care of yourself first.
Very true. So exactly. Yeah, you can't give if you don't have it to give.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah.
So I know that I just feel more at peace, and especially when I'm out on the trail, I don't know, it's so soothing and so calming, and then you just go.
You don't listen to music, you just listen to the sounds around you.
Exactly. And we do have some chats, but sometimes we can... Chats. Sorry, we just chat.
Okay. Yeah.
The girls, the ladies.
If it was chats, that's all right too, but I chats.
Chats. Okay, we chat.
Great.
So we talk among ourselves.
Nice.
And then sometimes we are just... We're just enjoying the moment, right? And just kind of do our little internal thinking and just kind of enjoy it for what it is.
And you know what? Nature, definitely something that will restore you, right?
Yeah.
My wife, and now she's kind of converting me slowly, is a real horse lover and animal lover in general, right?
Yeah.
But being around the horses, okay, I'm starting to get it, right? She's giving me riding lessons, right? So it's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all right. You know, yeah.
I am terrified of horses.
Are you?
I am.
Well, it's kind of her specialty because I was
Okay.
terrified of horses, right?
Okay.
And why I was terrified of horses, I told her this when I was little, like I'm thinking 4 or 5.
Yeah.
My dad decided he was going to teach me how to ride a horse, right?
Yeah.
And I was just this big, scary, smelly thing, right? I didn't want it. I started crying when I was 10 feet from the thing, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. He picked me up and he put me on the saddle, and I just cried until I fell off and hit the dirt, right?
Oh my gosh,
and,
yeah.
and it was just like, okay, well, what kind of experience is that,
Yeah.
right? And so my dad was a good man, but a pretty shitty horse riding instructor. My wife is an
Yeah.
excellent horse riding instructor.
Oh, nice.
But I don't think I ever really paid or listened to her very well.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, she's the expert. Just
let her
Yes,
take
you're trying to do a little beginner's mind kind of a thing,
Yeah.
right? Do you meditate, or are you familiar with the beginner's mind type? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I've had so many horrible experiences with horses, like
Have you?
from ever since I was a kid. Like there was like a community Shetland pony that every child was able to ride that pony, no problem, bareback, nothing. I get on there and the Shetland pony would buck me off every single time.
Really?
Yeah, and we did a trail ride up in Waterton, and in the middle of the trail, all of a sudden I'm like on the saddle and just boom, over. And I'm like, dude, like I'm scared of horses.
Hiking's way safer, right?
Right.
No other animals
Exactly.
involved, or no animals involved, no equipment, you just walk.
Yeah,
and
it's just me.
Yeah.
If I fall, it's my own fault.
Yeah. Worst thing you can do is twist your ankle.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, okay, that was
Yeah,
me.
totally.
Right. And if you're watching what you're going here, that's probably not going to happen. You're not going to twist your ankle. Yeah.
So
Cool.
no, cool on you on being able to do that and
Yeah.
get past your fears.
It's coming, and I'm kind of enjoying it. So, but a great way to restore, right?
For
You
sure.
know, give you the care you need. Because
Yeah.
I think that's one thing about COVID is that you kind of like everybody in the whole world is in the same situation,
Yeah.
right? Everybody. Doesn't matter the color or the gender or the race or the religious beliefs or whatever. Everybody is dealing with the same shit, right?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, we have a new world now. What's that new world going to look like?
Yeah.
And hopefully it's going to be a world that's a little bit more kinder and gentler and more empathy
It
for
will
others,
be,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
I hope so. When you see what's happening in the news and you kind of get worried about everything that's happening, but for myself, I always remind myself that for every negative, there's a positive, and so that we can focus on the negative, but it's not going to get us anywhere. So
Right.
there is a positive, so let's focus on that and try and move ourselves forward. And
Yeah.
you do.
Speaking of this,
Mm-hmm.
if you speak of situations in the past of unkindness,
Mm-hmm.
right, I'm going to suggest that you've experienced more of that than I have. And why I say that is I am an old white male. You are not. So is that what's your lived experience? Have you had times because of female or because you have a tan, I do not, that you have been treated poorly because of that? Has that ever happened?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So I grew up just outside of Lethbridge, between Raymond and Sterling. My family moved around quite a bit, but I've had everything from being called derogatory names because I'm First Nations. I've been asked to check my backpack or purse at the front of the store.
And that wouldn't have happened, you don't think, if you were white? Or,
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I have also been called an apple by other First Nations. So
What does apple mean?
an apple means that you're red on the outside but white on the inside.
Oh.
So it kind of goes both ways, where it's troubling. It's hard sometimes. And
So why would other First Nations call you apple? They resent that you're not true to your culture? Is that kind of what it is?
possibly, I know it was more like when I was in my late teens, going into my 20s,
Okay.
and I would be hanging out with my friends. And I don't know if did you grow up here?
No.
So there used to be a lot of pool halls in Lethbridge.
Okay.
And we were at one on 3rd Ave, and I'm hanging out with my friends and we're shooting pool, and they were so upset and telling me that I was an apple and they said I will never fit in with the white people, and basically that I was being a disservice to them and not acknowledging that they were First Nations as well, which didn't really make any sense because we're there just to play pool.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So race didn't have to be a part of the conversation or anything else like that. But yeah, I've had lots of experiences over the years of being, whether I was a female, whether I was First Nations, or there's microaggression of being told that you're pretty for a Native girl.
For a Native girl?
Yeah, for a Native, right? Or you get it during dating. So like, I've never dated a Native girl. Or have you ever dated a white guy? Or, so there's like all these other comments that are made to you that you're just going,
where'd that come from?
Yeah, like why do we have to talk about race, or why do we have to talk about culture? Like, why? We're just human. Why can we not?
Right. Why do we need all these labels? Like, how does that make any sense, right?
Yeah.
At the core, like, I mean, I'm sure there's just evil, terrible people.
Yeah.
Like a very, very small percentage, right? Everybody else wants the same things, right? Yeah. Everybody else wants to just be happy and be loved and be, do things they enjoy and have experiences that are meaningful to them and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Well, everybody wants the same stuff. Do you know any First Nations languages?
I don't. So I grew up around here, but I did live in PEI for about 12 years.
Okay.
And my youngest, who's now 16, she actually went to a Mi'kmaq preschool when she was 4. And so she did learn a little bit about the Mi'kmaq language. And so that was quite neat. Mi'kmaq. So it used to be Micmac, which a lot of people know it. Yeah. But it's really Mi'kmaq.
Oh.
And so Mi'kmaq is mostly PEI, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and down into Maine is quite where.
Okay.
And so she knows, she knew some. It wasn't until I moved to PEI that I really started to learn more about who I am and why your culture is important and how it's a big part of who you are,
right. Which
I hadn't acknowledged or thought about until that time.
Right.
I started to work for a nonprofit in PEI, and they were basically the voice for the 2 First Nations to the government.
Okay.
And I remember...
And you worked for this agency?
Yes.
And how old were you then?
I was like... I'll say I was like 28, 29 years old. And I was in my late 20s. Okay. And I started as a receptionist, and this young girl came out, and she was like maybe 20, 21 years old. And she comes up to me, and she's like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. What's your name?" And I said, "Rosie." And she's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Summerside." And she's like, "No, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Well, I was born in BC, raised in Alberta, but now I'm here." And she's like, "No, where are you from?" And I'm like, and I was starting to get a little, right, feeling a little defensive, like, who are you and what are you telling me?
So you're being judged that you were, like, didn't go, okay, yeah.
And so she's First Nations as well. And so I was just kind of couldn't figure out where this questioning was going, right. And I wasn't comfortable with where it was headed either. So anyways, I finally told her, I said, my community is from BC. I am Thompson Salish. And she's like, "Well, what?" And I don't remember. She asked me if I knew the language, or she started asking me if my children knew, and I said no. And she said, "You need to teach them. It's a who you are. You need to know where you come from." And I just kind of went, "Who are you? Like, who are you to tell me?" Yeah. And it wasn't until we started doing I attended a cross-cultural awareness training, and I started to realize, like, I am First Nations, and I need to be proud of who I am.
Sure.
And I need to understand my background. I need to understand the history of First Nations people in Canada, and not only do that, but share it with my children. Okay. So through that organization and attending events, I started going to powwows. I started going to learning from elders. And so it was more of a spiritual awakening, if you can kind of call it that. And the sad thing is that she passed away 4
This
months later.
woman?
This young lady.
Wow. And she's like 22 at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, just young, but she made an impact in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm. Did she pass away just from natural causes or an accident? Or?
Yeah, brain aneurysm.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. She had 4 young children, and she's yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
her questioning just really made me think differently from that point forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know a whole bunch about First Nations, but one thing that really surprised me, I took this thing called the Brain Story Certification. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Anyways, it's this thing about early childhood development and basically kind of the whole how a child develops into a healthy adult kind of a thing, right?
Okay.
And part of it that really I was quite intrigued with and impressed with was the whole First Nations where they had and I realized First Nations, that's a broad term. That's how many tribes is that? Like 50?
I think there's over 600.
600. Okay, I wasn't
Canada.
even close.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, but about them having rigid type of ceremonies related to this event, this event, this event, right?
Yep.
You know, and I can't remember them all, but at 5 there was, this ceremony because now you could do this. You know, you had this opportunity to do this and this responsibility to do it. And when you were 12, this was the ceremony, right? And it was very kind of the cultural norms of how you become a good person, good contributor to that community, were very much tied to these ceremonies, right? And it kind of guided you along, right? And it makes sense. And it was really a very, I thought, advanced type of a process to make good humans. Yeah.
I think so, and I feel like the First Nations, in a broad sense of it, very spiritual people, right? And you feel that anytime you go to a ceremony, anytime you go to, so because the organization I worked for, every meeting that we had, like say within say it was a regional meeting, it was always opened with a prayer by an elder. Okay. And there might be a smudge at the beginning as well. And it just changed the tone of the meeting, that you were able to open your mind and hear other people rather than meetings that there wasn't an average, like an elder. And yeah, it was a really neat experience.
Cool. Sort of changed like the whole structure or the vibe of the meeting kind of thing, that this was about being productive, making things better in our community kind of a thing, right? Yeah. Not about this agenda versus that agenda or that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I'm not sure, like Alan, like if you've ever attended a meeting where it seems like it's not going anywhere, and everyone's there for their own reason, they're not listening to other people, right? And so
it's a shouting match. Everybody's just trying to get their voice heard. Yeah.
And when you open it with an elder who either smudges or does a prayer or does both, it just seems to, like, the vibe in the room completely changes, and you almost have like an open heart to hear everyone else's point of view before you go, oh, well, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly. Yeah, cool. That's cool. Interesting. So you don't know a First Nations language, but your daughter knows some because she learned it. Yes. And it was, I see it as Mi'kmaq, but it wasn't Mi'kmaq. It's, what is it called?
Mi'kmaq.
Mi'kmaq. Yeah. Okay. And you said there was 600 tribes?
I believe there's 600 tribes in Canada.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. And a lot of them back in the day didn't necessarily get along with each other, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if that animosity remains, but I was talking to this gent who was he was a white guy, but he did First Nations economic development type stuff. Yeah. And he was saying that back in the day, this tribe would talk badly about these people, the next people over kind of a thing. Yeah. And they would, they kind of set the tone for how that was going to go, right? So, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be, and maybe I'm wrong, you would know this, like a big consistency in, who is the elder, who is the recognized voice for the First Nations people. Like it seems like that's always kind of am I wrong?
Well,
I didn't even finish the thought, but you know what I'm saying, right?
I think so.
Okay.
So there's always elders within the community.
Right.
And there's no rite of passage. So I can only speak about the Mi'kmaq communities that I worked with within PEI. I can't speak for like even where I'm from.
Right.
But there is no age requirement to be an elder.
Right.
So it's based on other elders seeing that you that you are to be an elder. There, I met a gentleman. He was in his 40s and he was considered an elder. So I think it depends, like if you're ready or not. I found out that my maternal great-grandfather was the last medicine man on my mother's side. He was the last medicine man in our community. And then I found out that my biological father, he was the last hereditary chief. So at that time it was passed down from father to son.
Got it.
And then after that
he was the last of the line.
He was the last, yeah. And then the community decided that they would they would elect the chief. So,
okay.
Yeah. But
the medicine man, like that would be like he's the healer for the community.
Exactly.
Kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it would be like herbs or natural type of solutions, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of it, even like dances or sweats, right? That kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
With drugs, like patented drugs that all the big manufacturers sell, the placebo effect is huge. Eh? Are you familiar with that?
No.
Oh, this is incredible. If you believe the drug is going to work, it works almost as much as the actual real drug. So they give people sugar pills and they give them the real drug, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the differential is like 2%.
Yeah.
Like this one's 52% effective and the placebo is 50% effective. And there's nothing in it but some sugar, right?
Yeah.
And they even did it with arthroscopic knee surgery.
Yeah.
So that they just made the incision but didn't put anything in, right?
Okay.
Like didn't go in and mess anything up or restore anything.
Yeah.
Just made the little incision, right? And it was an amazing number, 85% or 75% who felt, that surgery was effective.
Wasn't that like the same? Do you remember those magnetic bracelets that people used to swear by?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Right? That was the same, that they did studies that there wasn't anything in it to change your life in any...
Our minds have a amazing ability to affect our bodies,
for sure.
Right? There's no question.
Yeah.
But that placebo effect and something like that, if you go to a ceremony where the revered medicine man tells you he's going to heal you if you participate, fully and wholeheartedly in the ceremony, you're probably going to be healed, right? Like that's, so, it's very cool. Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of neat to hear about it, and it was just like, oh, wow. And so when I was younger, there was no way that I would have been open to hearing anything like that.
Right.
Or I would have been ashamed to hear about it. And so... That
you'd be ashamed because people would judge you because you...
Being Native. Yeah. So, even, in childhood, it'd be like, well, Rosie's not one of those Natives.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, she's not one of those.
Right.
And so...
Well, you never, you said between Raymond and McGrath is where you live?
Yes.
Yes. Or where you grew up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, so you never, the First Nations people who live on reserves, it's totally their choice to live there.
Yeah.
And in your case, your mother and your father just said, hey, no, we're not going to live on the reserve. Is that kind of how it worked?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah, so it took a long time to get to self-acceptance and self-loving, so yeah.
Interesting. So tell us about your Etsy store.
My Etsy store.
Yeah, I checked it a little bit. It looks like a lot of organizational type things. You want to know how to do this better or be more consistent with this habit or something like that.
So I self-taught with graphic design. It's something I've always been creative. I've always done anything arts, crafts, and I was looking for a side business where something I could enjoy, something that wouldn't take a whole lot of time, but something that I could use my creativity side of the brain. And so I decided that I would open the shop where I design printables. So you can download and print it at home at a printing store. So it's everything for children, for spring bingo cards that they can, or neighborhood scavenger hunt, day planners if you want a customized day planner. So I've done a few customization for customers over the last few months. So it's been open since last November. So it hasn't been open too long. I think I have 170 sales so far. So
that's pretty good.
Not lots, but a few.
Yeah.
And so everything that you could use for your home or office. What I say is it's stylish and affordable printables for your home or office. So
nice.
Pretty much anything. So wall art that you can print and frame. Trying to think of what else is on
Which is
there.
your biggest seller?
You know what? It was my first product that I designed, which is a pet care planner.
A pet care planner?
Pet care planner.
All right, like when you worm them and such like that.
Yeah. So everything about, so if you are a pet owner and, if you're a pet owner and they want to take care of their pets so much and they love them like family, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's
you
about...
have pets then?
I don't.
Okay.
I do foster dogs though.
Foster dogs?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
foster rescue dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but yeah, the pet care planner, I think there's like 15, 17 pages, everything from all their info, like if you are going to take them to a pet sitter, like what information is that pet sitter going to need, recipes, like if you have recipes, you can write them down, all their vet care, everything.
That's cool.
So
That's cool.
That's the number one seller.
Yeah. So what prevents somebody from buying it and then just sharing it with somebody else without paying you for it?
There isn't,
Nothing,
and
but
you
people
hope that people are going to be honest,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
I do have a claimer at the bottom saying that's for personal use only, and I have the name of my shop on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're based on people's
Yeah, that
honesty.
people are going to be fair and reasonable, and they're getting value out of what they're buying
Exactly.
from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And so is this going to be always like a side thing for you, or is this your grand scheme? The Rosie's empire is coming into focus.
I don't know. I have an entrepreneurial spirit, so I tend to do things and I do it really well, and then I go, well, that was fun. And then I start something else new.
Oh, okay.
So I've had multitude of side businesses over the years.
Have you?
And this tends to be my current one.
Well, tell me about some of the other ones you've had.
Some of the other ones. Well, I would say probably the first one that I ever had, and we'll talk about childhood here for a second. I had a little babysitting empire. So I knew I was a good babysitter.
Yes.
And what I did was I hired my friends to be babysitters too.
Okay, and you supervise them?
Supervise them. So when I wasn't able to babysit, then I would say, hey, I have my friend who is a good babysitter too, but I would also get a small little piece of money of their babysitting.
Look at you go. How old were you then?
I was probably like 11, 12 years old at the time.
And it was this your idea or mom and dad's?
Totally my idea. And
Nicely
it was just
done.
Yeah,
well played. Wow.
Yeah. And then in high school I did mixed tapes.
Okay,
so
yes.
I went to school with a couple exchange students, and one was from Belgium.
Yeah.
And he used to listen to underground dance music. It was totally electronics, 90s music, right? And so when he went back to Belgium, he would mail me all these new cassettes back then, and CDs, I think, if I remember correctly. And so I would listen to them. And so I went to our cheerleading squad, I went to the boxing club, and every month I would give them a new mixtape.
Okay.
Charge them $20.
And it's a rosy blend of songs imported from Belgium.
Exactly.
Nice. That was very creative.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it'd be tougher today, as you might
totally,
imagine. But hey, that was a great
With
idea.
Spotify and everything else? So,
cool.
there's always been stuff on the side of just going, how can I make money out of this?
Nice. But then you get it up and going, and then you quit.
And then I quit, and then it's
you don't quit. You shift direction to something
Exactly.
else.
I kind of get bored with it after a while. And it's just like, okay, this is where I want to be. I'm good with this. And another one, I sold Tupperware for about 2 years, I think. And I was top sales in the Atlantic region.
Oh, okay.
For both in sales and for recruiting other women to be Tupperware consultants.
Right.
And again, it was a side business. I was working full time, and I had all this extra money on the side, and it got to a point where I could take it full time. I just went, no.
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 How was it you ended up in PEI? You grew up here.
Yeah.
And then when did you move to PEI?
So it's the father of my 2 children. So he is an islander.
Okay.
And he came out here to work on the oil rigs, and this would have been late 90s.
Okay.
And we lived in Calgary for about 6 years, and then he was homesick.
Okay.
So we decided that we would sell everything here in Alberta and move to PEI to live with his side of the family.
Yeah.
And it was a tough go.
Yeah.
It was, They have a thing called, if you are not born on PEI, you are called a CFA, which is come from away.
Oh,
have you
I
ever
did
heard?
not know that. Come from away.
Come
All
from
right.
away.
Okay, and
So-
then you're different than everybody else if you're a come from away.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I met people that were there for 40, 50 years and still a CFA.
Really? 40,
Yeah.
50 years, you're still
Yeah.
a CFA?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
Maritimers
so,
there.
right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. They like their roots.
Exactly.
If you're not there for 5 generations, you don't count.
Yeah, so it was a tough go, but
Oh, wow.
I was there for 12 years, and then it finally went, no, I need to move back with family.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so your youngest daughter was back with dad, finishing
Exactly.
up the school and doing the soccer.
Yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Is their father a First Nations man as well?
No,
Okay.
he is white, blonde, blue eyes.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay. Not that it matters.
No,
I was just
no,
curious.
no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Oh, cool. And so your 16-year-old, no, your daughters.
Yeah.
Do they have your entrepreneurial expertise, your entrepreneurial mojo happening?
No,
No.
no, and I thought one of them would, and they kind of chuckle at me.
Oh, yeah?
they kind of tease me. They are fully supportive.
Okay.
And they will tell their friends, they will tell people, like, this is what my mom's doing right now.
Oh yeah.
So I appreciate it, but no, they
Nice.
don't have any desire.
No desire. Okay. Well, talked about your kids, talked about their goals, talked about your entrepreneurial thing. That's pretty cool. Lethbridge Family Services, how long have you been there now?
I have been there, it'll be 6 years next month.
6 years next month.
Yeah.
And you like Lethbridge Family Services?
I do, yeah.
A lot of fine people there, I find, so.
Yeah, it's they treat their employees well, and the work that we do, I think with my position, we get to hear the stories that happen. So
Right.
I'm in advancement communications, so we get to hear the things that are happening within
Right.
the community.
What difference you're making in the community. right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's amazing. I feel blessed every single day that I get to have this type of job.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you have a phenomenal executive team there too at
Yes.
Lethbridge Family Services. Wow.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Hiking. What else were we going to talk about?
Oh gosh.
You know what? I'm going to mix it up today.
Okay.
I'm going to sing that song now, and then we'll think about what we want to
Okay.
talk about after.
Sounds
okay?
good.
Okay, so I told you already the song. Have you ever heard the original one?
No, I don't
Okay.
think I have.
Okay, so the guy's name was J. Frank Wilson,
Okay.
and it was about from 1960, and Creed did it in 1990 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
About 30 years after the
Okay.
original one was. And anyway, so the original. This is more to the original.
Yeah.
Okay, it goes kind of like this. Where, oh, where can my baby be? That's too high. Let me try again. Where, oh, where can my baby be? The Lord took her away from me. She's gone to heaven, so I got to be good, so I can see my baby when I leave this world. We were out on a date in my daddy's car. We hadn't driven very far. There on the road, straight ahead, a car was stalled, the engine was dead. I couldn't stop, so I swerved to the right. Never forget the sounds at night, the crying tires, the busting glass, the painful scream that I heard last. Well, where, oh, where can my baby be? The Lord took her away from me. She's gone to heaven, so I got to be good, so I can see my baby when I leave this world. Well, when I woke up, the rain was pouring down. There were people standing all around. Something warm running in my eyes, but I found my baby somehow that night. I raised her head and then she smiled and said, hold me, darling, for a little while. I held her close, I kissed her on last kiss. I found a love that I knew I would miss. But now she's gone, even though I hold her tight. I lost my love, my life that night. Well, where, oh, where can my baby be? The Lord took her away from me. She's gone to heaven, so I got to be good, so I can see my baby when I leave this world. Now, Creed, when they finished it, they kind of went, something like that instead. But that kind of thing. So, anyway.
That's amazing. Did you just learn it this week?
No.
You know it before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was actually a song that my brother liked and I heard him listen to it, and I was like 6 years old, because it's from like 1960 or something, right?
Yeah.
So I would have been a little guy, and I remember hearing it from there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you been singing?
Well, I sang. Remember, you were talking about when you were into athletics and that kind of thing, and it kind of got away from you, and then you got back. So similar sort of thing. Okay. I sang a lot when I was younger, and then somewhere along the line, I think I concluded that singing didn't pay bills and it wasn't an important activity, and just gotta leave that shit behind, right? And then just more recently, I thought, man, I really love to sing. Why am I not doing more of that, right? And not for any goal or purpose or reason, just for the simple enjoyment of doing it, right? Yeah. And I started doing it, and I thought, oh my goodness, is this ever relieve stress? It like tones. It feels really good physically and emotionally and mentally, and in terms of just the how good it makes you feel. It's like, okay, I'm in, right? Yeah. And so now, basically, most nights I sing an hour.
Oh, good for
you. Or
most
throughout the day, I'm going to sing about an hour. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and when on some nights when I do the Facebook Live things, those are pretty much always an hour. Okay. That's about 25 songs, right? Yeah. Because it's odd, a cappella. Most people, a cappella.
It's hard to sing a cappella.
Some people tell me that, but I don't think a lot of people like it either, right? I think it's, the instruments that's more important to them for me, the lyrics are way more important than the instruments, right? What the lyrics say, the message in the song, right? Last Kiss. So this couple finds love, loses at the same moment. I mean, that's a beautiful story, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes songs can lose meaning when you get all the instruments playing too, and sometimes that it overpowers what as you're saying, the message. True. Where you're just like, if you just hear, to me, like anyone who can sing a cappella, it's like, whoa, that's amazing. So. Okay. Well, thank you. I grew up singing in choirs, the church choir and school choir.
Sing something.
I cannot.
Come
seriously,
on.
no, I can't.
If you can sing in a choir, you can sing right now.
And I cannot do a cappella. Seriously, like really? It's
What if
I
we sang one together?
No. I am the best singer in my car. We'll leave it at that.
All right. But you know what? Hiking is great for you in terms of restoring your mental health. Yeah. Man, singing is good for me. If I wasn't singing, I would probably be on like an antidepressant or something. I'm sure, because it is such a great release for me and so enjoyable for me to do. So yeah. Last night I didn't sleep well because I did not sing last night.
Get out, so you notice.
Yeah, we were real busy, and it's like, oh man, it's 10 o'clock and I didn't get around to singing. Yeah. All right, I'm not going to do it. And then I didn't sleep worth a shit, and then it's because I didn't take some time to sing a bit. So
that happened to us about 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah. And I woke up, and it was Saturday morning. I'm like, I don't want to go hiking. I want to lay in bed. I want to sleep in. I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I just want to chill. And I was telling my daughter about it, and she's like, Mom, but you really like hiking? You really need to go. And I kind of like wasn't happy, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I
get duress, right? You did it, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we were just doing a hike in the coulees that day. So I thought, well, I'll just get it over with. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And so I met up with my friends, and there was 3 of us that day. And I was telling the ladies, I'm like, I really don't want to hike today. I'm not in the mood. I don't want it. I'd rather be home right now.
Yeah.
And we all kind of looked at each other and we're like, me too. Like, nobody really wanted to be there. And so we said, well, let's just do it. It'll be a quick hike. It won't be very long. Well, 6 kilometers later and 2 hours later, and I'm like, I can start my day now. Like, I feel really good. I feel, right? Like, it was just kind of funny, like, how my attitude and, like, everything about how I was feeling before I left to afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
Just like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went.
Which then, speaks to the value of habits, right? That this is something you do, even if you don't feel like doing it, you do it, and you feel good because you did it, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Courtney Atkinson was on this show a couple weeks
Okay.
ago, and then he's got the most rigid, like, wake up at 4 o'clock. From 4 to 4:12, do this activity. 4:12 to 4:19.
Oh, really?
Like, maybe not quite that
Yeah,
structured.
no.
But it was very, very structured kind
Yeah.
of thing. And that's part of the thing. He talks about winning the day before it starts, right?
Yeah.
He gets all these important bits out of the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm making fun of it, but journaling, meditating,
No,
visualizing, exercising, having a good breakfast, boom, boom, boom. He does all these things. He starts the day, he's won before he even leaves the house, right?
I've heard like lots of great leaders have that same type of morning ritual too, right? They do this and this and this, and that's what starts their day. I am not, sadly. I like my coffee, and I sit. And I'm like, I meditate. No, I put the coffee on, and I like to have my 2 cups, but I like to do it before everyone is awake.
And what do you do? Just sit there quietly?
Just sit there quietly, and most times I don't have TV on, music on. It's just I just sit there, kind of think about my day, and just kind of or reflect on something. Like, it's nothing too strenuous or like too.
Right.
But yeah, totally.
Rosie, there are 1,000 ways to kiss the earth. Your way to kiss the earth could be different than Courtney's way or my way, right? So that would work for you. That's what works for you, right? So,
yeah, I just enjoy it. It's just little.
I would never get up at 4 o'clock. If my life depended on getting up at 4 o'clock every morning, I'd say, okay, we're done. I've had a good run. So
I'm 5 a.m. though.
You're 5 a.m.?
I'm 5 a.m.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm like 7. Yeah. Go to bed 11, get up about 7, so I get my fair share of sleep. So even if I have not a good sleep night, it doesn't matter. I still have like probably 6 hours. But
my kids laugh at me because they're like, I'm an old lady because it's like 9:30 and I'm out. It's like, don't talk to me.
Corolla's mother always had a thing that she said that the sleep that you get before midnight far more important than the sleep you get after midnight.
Is that what they say?
I don't know. I don't know if it makes any sense. I think it was just the mom's way to influence the daughter to go to bed early.
Exactly.
Don't be stayed up so late. So.
No. Yeah. Are you a morning person or?
I am pretty much. Yeah, I get up and I get rolling pretty good. Yeah, and I don't have like a strenuous not a Courtney type of thing or a Mel. Mel was on the show, or Courtney and Mel are married, and she had a pretty rigid thing as well. Like I get up 7, I meditate for about 15 minutes.
Yep.
I do a little bit of exercise. It's kind of the minimalist version of exercise, and then just have a real good breakfast, and then start the day kind of a thing. So and then really a big part of my exercise is when I sing later on, because singing kind of works your diaphragm and works your core and that kind of thing, right? And your lung capacity and all those kind of things, right? So, and that's kind of my minimalist exercise in the morning, and the singing throughout the day or at the end of the day is really kind of my exercise.
So do you take singing lessons as well?
I was, and then COVID came, right? So, that ended that. So, but then since then, I've been singing basically an hour a day, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually, I don't know why. I question why I do it live, because I do it on Facebook Live. Like, I was doing it on Twitch and Facebook Live, and the Twitch folks were just like, I don't know, there's some weird things. They'd come on, and one guy asked me, I don't know if one person asked me to twerk I said, what? And then asked me to do it, like, and then there's these songs. Do you know this song? And it's this bizarre song, and people swearing and yelling. And yeah, no, I don't know that song.
Yeah.
So, but it was weird. I had people that were. I had one guy from England, this young guy from England, Logan Hillman.
Okay.
And he would come on to listen to me sing. And in England, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, right? And he'd been up all night, and he stays to watch me sing a bit, right?
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of sort of a bizarre thing. So yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and another guy from, he was a dairy farmer from Scotland, Ireland, dairy farmer from Ireland.
Yeah.
And then whatever, when his cows were calving or whatever, and he was up in the morning, he'd watch me. Hey, give me a little thing. But anyways, I do the Facebook Live thing. But my theory is this: if I think somebody's watching, I'm probably going to sing to my best capacity.
Better.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like I'm kind of where. I'm not so good in practice, but every time I compete, it's a personal best.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I'm built. So then if I have a little, I don't know what, motivation by thinking that somebody's watching, and lots of times nobody watches, right? But thinking somebody's watching, I think I sing better, and I've also take steps to kind of improve my show. I have a song.
I was going to say, do you have a song list?
And I changed the mic. I got a big ass mic, what's it called? A Blue Yeti.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's a wonderful
game changer.
Oh, I love it. I don't know if I sing any better, but I like it better anyway. So this Blue Yeti thing, and then I have the headphones, so I listen to myself sing. Yeah. Before I just had it coming from the speakers, and I find that I don't know. It's kind of like you have instant feedback. You make adjustments as you're going. Yeah. So I think I sound better using that mic. I sound better to me. Anyways, I'm not sure to anybody else, but to me, I sound better. So.
I'm sure everyone enjoys it.
It doesn't. My logic is I'm going to do it, and I'll do it. Making it live makes it more of a fun experience for me, and more of a kind of a motivating experience.
It
for me.
probably holds you accountable too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
And then if people don't like it, well, they just skip it. They swipe over to the next thing, right? So it's just not like I'm intruding on them in any way, right? So, and if they do like it, if somebody likes it, super. That's great.
I find that's part of with the hiking group too.
Yeah.
Is because we are ladies that we can motivate each other when we're on the trail.
Right.
But 2, knowing that you are meeting people to go on this trail, right? Like
you set an obligation, and you don't want to let people down. Exactly. You're going to show up, right?
Yeah,
so,
totally. Yeah. So like I mentioned, how I didn't want to go, but it's like, well, I need to go because I don't want to let them down either. Yeah. So, but it was a win-win at the end.
Nice. Wait a minute. When you said you were singing, that was in a choir?
Yeah.
Like in a church choir?
Both school choir and church choir.
School choir and church choir. Oh, interesting. When I was younger, that was the only part I liked about going to church was the singing part.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I sang a lot of spiritual type songs.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and my dad, he was a kind of my dad's father was a preacher who went out to coal mines and logging sites and preached to the miners and so hard living men kind of a thing, right? Yeah. And in remote locations, right? Yeah. And so my dad had a little bit of a preacher in him kind of a thing, right? Yeah. So so he was also involved in kind of church development and preaching and that kind of stuff. So.
Oh wow! Yeah. So did you go with him, or this was?
No. I went with him when I was younger, and then I had a period of time I didn't go to church, and then as an adult I chose to go to church for a while, and then now I haven't for a few decades. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I was about 20 when I stopped going to church, but it was very. Everyone I knew went to church, so it just became like. It was a very social type of thing. So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, and I like it. I mean, there's, for the most part, the people that are, besides the super judgy type folks, right? And there's always
you're going to find that everywhere.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. But the ones that are the super judgy Christians seem to have a special judgy status or something. I don't know. It seems that way. So, but anyways, yeah.
Jesse's laughing.
Yes.
He's okay.
Okay, so now Jesse's laughing because we're going to get kicked off the air.
Okay.
No, all right, okay. Anyways. So, I think we're pretty much, you know what, that last comment, though, made me think of another song. Do you want to hear another song?
Yeah,
or do you want to just we should wrap her up?
No, totally.
Okay. This is a song, I think, about religious tolerance, right? Okay. Whatever you believe is fine for you. If that's working for you, right, and you're not harming anybody else, believe it. That's great, right? So it goes like this. Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and Jews all got their own versions of the truth. There's a line in the sand, there's a war going on. They forgot to remember, they might be wrong. Carry your faith wherever you go. Mix it with love and let it show. But keep your eyes open as you move along. Always remember, you might be wrong. Whoa, why do we worry? Why do we fight? Everybody thinks God's on their side. Count to 10 before you throw a stone. Whatever you believe, you might be wrong. Don't cut me off, don't say we're through, just because I don't agree with you. You see, flowers grow where seeds of love are sown. You could be right, you might be wrong. Whoa, why do we worry? Why do we fight? Everybody thinks God's on their side. Count to 10 before you throw a stone. Whatever you believe, you might be wrong. What's on the other side of life? I won't know until the day I die. If you're feeling insecure, you are not alone. Everybody knows you might be wrong. Whoa, why do we worry? Why do we fight? Everybody thinks God's on their side. Count to 10 before you throw a stone. Whatever you believe, you might be wrong. Whatever you believe, you might be wrong.
That's cool. I like it.
I love that song. Paul Thorne, he tells all these cool stories.
Yeah.
His dad was a preacher and his
Okay.
uncle was a pimp. So he would have had a pretty interesting childhood.
No
growing up, I
doubt,
think.
yeah. I think, especially with the pandemic and everything, I feel like I keep telling everyone, like, if we could just show kindness,
Yes.
like the world would be such a better place.
I agree
And
entirely.
stop judging people and it, like, just show kindness.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So-
And let people be who they want to be. If they're
Yeah.
not harming anybody else, and like there's two consenting adults to whatever
Exactly.
thing they're involved in, yeehaw, have
Yeah,
fun, right?
totally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool.
Well, thank you for
Okay, we
sharing.
sorted the
Yeah.
world out now, Rosie. Okay. I hope nobody messes it up while we get off the air here. So, all right, Jesse, I think we're out of here, right? All right, man. Jesse taught us about Sisters' Day, Brothers and Sisters' Day. India, it's a big thing. Who knew?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for